Oh, hi there. Good evening. Um, this is kind of a strange story, but felt as though that I had to talk about it anyway. I'd rather, the situation did not occur in the first place, but, like some things are beyond one person's control. Um, anyway, um, there was a shadowy figure whom we'll call a Babadook, just for fun, um, who I believe, because of my work and the things I do for YouTube, which is my work, um, there was a figure not that long ago. A bit of a awkward time of the night, which right now is 3:28 Pacific time while I'm at work. Um, if you understand what I'm saying, it always happens at the bus. I don't know what it is. It simply always happens there. Um, so part of this I think is a possibility that some people have seen my YouTube videos regarding masks and how I think people should wear them and have disliked my opinion. And up until the point where they're willing to sort of go out of their way to, I don't know, just be a bit passive aggressive, or I don't want to use the word provocative, but I suppose that would be the right word to use. Anyway, I was doing my YouTube work, no cameras, at least none of mine. Um, and I was at the bus. I get on the bus. Few stops in, this fella gets on. He's not wearing a mask, and usually bus drivers don't even bother saying, please put on a mask. Like, from my experience, I've noticed most of the time they don't even bother because they're not actually supposed to enforce it. Those rules could change, so you know. Anyway, this figure, who we'll call a Babadook, did get on to the bus. And the bus driver said, please, could you wear a mask? I think that's what I heard him say. It was all kind of grumbly. And he said, I don't have one. And he says it in a really, kind of also grumbly voice, but this was audible. And takes a seat up front, and he puts his feet up on the seat, and he's making it clear that he wants attention, and not in any kind of, like, how to describe it, any sort of um, positive sense. Like, he was definitely looking for negative attention. And so he has his feet up. The bus is moving at this point. Starts muttering some more to himself, so that immediately indicates an individual's kind of mental state when they start muttering to themselves. Unfortunately, that is part of society. If you start muttering to yourself in a public place, you kind of look crazy. Doesn't matter what your reason is, especially if people can't hear what you're saying exactly. And it reminds me of a story of what they used to do on English television, which was to simulate a conversation in the background of a movie set or whatever. They would say rhubarb. A crowd of people would say rhubarb, rhubarb, rhubarb over and over and over again. And in the background, it sounds like a conversation, but it's not actually one. So this guy was muttering to himself, and I got good ears. I can hear, and I couldn't make heads or tails of any of it. But anyway, he starts flicking his lighter, and he obviously wants to be a problem. And I detected this right away. And I was not at the front seat like him. I was in the back. And I was far enough in the back that, actually, ironically, I was the one sitting in the shadows, which is what the Babadook, which is the character's name I've decided to use for this individual, is the one who's sitting up front. And there's no way he could have discerned me. I got a black Ushanka. There's no way he saw me. Theoretically, anyway. Get to the trains. He has to go on the same train as me. But not before he gets off the bus. When I'm getting off the bus, he has to light a cigarette. Because he's been flicking his lighter. And he does it 2 steps away from the bus door. So everybody has to walk past him smoking. And we live in a very sensitive time where people don't want people smoking around them. They don't want people who's not wearing masks where they're supposed to and all that kind of stuff. Nobody says a word to him. Because he had a distinct look about him, among other types of looks. Like, he was, what's the word to describe it? Unhinged. Like, he was looking for a fight. So nobody wanted to say anything to him. Not that I was afraid of him, but I went, it's better not to deal with this. And, I noticed things right away about him. Had he had a mask on, had he kept his mouth shut, had he, not gone the same directions I was going, wouldn't even have paid a second thought. Wouldn't even have thought of it. You know why? He had a goatee, much fuller than my one. I have a ginger goatee, so it's not as thick as it should be. And it's also not dark, so it doesn't, this is the best beard I can grow. Anyway, this guy had a goatee, and it was a dark brown goatee, but he was clean shaven. And he wore clean clothes, short hair, didn't smell, not even of cigarettes, despite him flicking a lighter around in front, so everyone could see that he had a cigarette. Not really that big a deal. I'm just kind of focusing on details here. So, anyway, go to the trains. I have a specific spot that I like to go to on the trains because it's easier access for the exit. I have this thing where I like to run upstairs. I just like to because it's exercise. Anyway, I didn't do it this time because I was feeling kind of crummy anyway for various reasons. So anyway, I immediately suspected there was something not quite right about the situation. So I tapped my card, and and I also got to mention the thing before, is when I got onto the trains, almost forgot to mention that part. Why did I almost forget? Anyway, the untold rule at buses at this particular hour, when most people are going to work, is that you kind of, distance yourself from other people. You don't sit in the same column of seats. It's just a thing. You just don't do it. And, it's not just because of COVID, but although that is a factor, there were 2 rows of seats. And I knew it didn't matter which one I picked. He was going to pick the one that was closer to where I was. Because there were 2 sections at both places where an individual can sit far enough away, but not that far away. Like really close, as a matter of fact. So I go walking to this one, and I turn around, and he's right behind me. I look at him right in the face, and I knew he was going to do that, so I went to the other spot, and at this point, he couldn't turn around and go to that seat, because then that would just make it plain as day obvious. what he was doing, and then therefore I would have the ability to say, "The fuck's your problem? What do you want?" In a public place, no doubt. Um, so yeah. Anyway, that's what I want to mention, and then getting off the train and onto the upper part where I had the ability to run up the stairs. Didn't that time anyway. Get out into the street, and then there are only X amount of places or directions you can go to because of just reasons. It could be construction, I suppose. Some people would see it as. It's freezing cold, okay? So there's no construction going on right now. Anyway, cross the street. And yeah, there's some, I forget what it is. It's 24 hours 7-Eleven or something like that. Anyway, not a big deal. And then start walking to the other side of the street. Now, this particular hour, there are only X amount of buses. There are very few, actually, that would take me to the destination I needed to go to. And lo and behold, the shadow that was behind me, the Babadook, was right behind me as I'm walking, and he was like getting near to my grill, and I, obviously didn't like any of it, but I knew if I'd said anything, even not even a swear word or anything like that, that he was gonna blow up. And so I went, I'm not talking to him. I'm gonna not give him anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna do anything. And he talks about how he had enough money on his debit card. This is the one thing he muttered that I actually understood, other than the physical communication he was relaying, saying he had enough for a burger at a fast food place. And at this time, he was close enough that I didn't like it. I kept walking to another bus stop, and so did he. And we'd passed the 24-hour 7-Eleven, whatever it was, and I'm like going, I don't like this. I'm off to do my business, and this guy's trying to interfere with my work, from the looks of it, from my perspective anyway. And he did keep walking, and I saw him walk past. I got on the bus, and that was the end of it. It was strange, someone who wanted to appear crazy, but was so orderly about everything. How it had to be a certain chain of events that he might have perceived I might have taken in order for him to actually do what he wanted to do, whereas your everyday crazy person wouldn't have those types of self-control. So it is very possible that it is someone who saw, bam, my YouTube channel, and disliked what I had to say, and perhaps it was more of a group effort because the particular area I go to is not especially sketchy to go to work, but it at the early hours of the morning, there are some less than scrupulous characters walking around that you have to be vigilant about. And, I'm not particularly worried, but, I go, how can someone look like they're, doing very odd behavior, but have the self-control to, do whatever it is they thought they were going to do? because when he was talking about his debit card briefly and he had enough money to have a burger, um, he didn't ask me or anything like that. Maybe he thought in the back of my mind that would scare me into turning around and going, "Here, I'll buy you one." Um, it didn't work, and no, I'm not buying any derelict a burger of any kind. I happen to not like them for various reasons. Um, I question as to whether he was one because when he originally got on the first bus that we were on, not the train, the bus that led to the train, um, it was in an area that's not associated with homeless persons. It's it's out in the sticks. It's not really the kind of environment that they like to have because there's not much revenue for panhandling. So it's not normally something a homeless person would really want to do. And the very few of them that we have in the area, they uh, they 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 stay to themselves, and they're quiet, and they're very predictable, and they're kind of known around the neighborhood, so they don't cause trouble and all that sort of stuff. Um, this guy was different, something different, and we're calling him a Babadook. I am because I could call him what he really was, but you know what would be the fun in that? Um, I know I've pitched it in kind of an odd sort of a way, but there's a reason for it. A few reasons, actually. um, and like straight up, I could tell you exactly, without metaphorical references, uh, what that was. And I wasn't too happy about it. And, now I have to think, well, okay, that happened, and it could have been possibly because of my YouTube channel. This is not the first time it's happened. And, I am someone who's pays attention to details when I want to. Um, and I don't want to spot something that's off. It's not correct. It's not normal. And, you play your cards right, and, what can they do? However, he was most certainly trying to instigate something. And, yeah, like I said, he would have appeared normal if he'd been wearing his mask, went to wherever he was going to. His clothes were clean. He was clean shaven, I could tell, except for the goatee, because he wasn't wearing his mask. Um, Short hair, like I mentioned, which is indicative to someone who's, um, you know, genuinely not a homeless person. They typically have longer hair. I know I have longer hair, but I have fancy gels and stuff like that to put in it, and I happen to like having longer hair. That's different. Um, and yet, you know, he was essentially panhandling. He wanted me to be scared of him and turn around and, you know, I don't know, give him some sort of a set of money, and I wasn't going to do that because I wasn't intimidated by him. And I had this overwhelming sense that he wasn't alone, and he couldn't do anything without something, something telling him he could, or if he got the reaction from me that he wanted. And I know what that is. And you know, uh, I don't like it. I mean, I dislike having to use the quotations of Heath Ledger, who played as the Joker, but sometimes madness is like gravity. All you need is a little push. Yada, 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 yada. Yeah, right. Um, However, I highly doubt I'll see him again. And I don't want another individual such as himself um, ramping up the game all of a sudden when there's no justification for it at all. Um, but you know, I didn't pay for his breakfast, and you know, there wasn't anything to speak of other than that initial uncomfortableness I felt. Um, Went off to work, and you know, that was it. So he didn't get what he wanted, and therefore, you know, me minding my own business, I won. And some people are sore losers. However, myself, I'm simply sore. Uh, yeah, my sore throat and all puts me at a physical disadvantage should someone want to be confrontational or something like that. Among some other health ailments I have because of various reasons. So, yes, this is a strange story, but, you know, I'm putting it up on the internet, so, you know, I have to say it in a certain way. And, you know, I thought I was being fair, but, well, you know, evidently going about doing your own business isn't fair to other people in today's world for some screwed up reason. Um, it's kind of hard to describe. However, it is getting late into the night, and I do need some sleep. I happen to be awake now because my sleeping pattern is off, and there are various reasons for that too. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think it's a problem in itself, but it's a message from the greater audience in a very subtle, deniable, um, you know, hard to prove, almost impossible to prove kind of a way. Um, because in society, if you simply deny everything, then you're in the clear in a lot of cases. And it's like, well, actually. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Very odd story indeed. Um, More so for my understanding than some potential audience members' perception of it. Anyway, all a possibility. Anyway, good night.